a membrane that attaches to the organ itself. Here's my awful drawing of this. This is the organ whole circle. There's a membrane that actually attaches to the organ itself, and then it wraps around upon itself, and the other portion of the membrane touches the outer surface of that cavity. Now, in between the membrane on the organ and the membrane on the outer area of the cavity, there's a fluid layer. So basically what you're creating is like a waterbed effect for all of your organs, so that if you fall down, you don't pop a lung. Okay? So it's basically just like a waterbed setup inside of you. Now, the layer closest to the organ is always going to be called the visceral. Okay, so that visceral is the most intimate layer. If you ever heard of someone saying they have a visceral feeling or a gut feeling, it's kind of the same thing as saying you have a gut feeling. It's just it's the layer closest to the organ itself. And then the parietal is the membrane that's closest to the wall. All right. So there are three that we're going to talk about. One is associated with the lungs. That's the pleura. One membrane set is associated with the heart, the pericardial, and one is associated with all the abdominal organs, and that's the peritoneum. Okay, so I'll go through these using this as an example. So to orient you, here's the cat's head. We have our trachea coming down. Right here is the split between the thoracic and the abdominal cavity. This is the diaphragm. All right. So the diaphragm is the official split line between the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. When we do the dissection, we're not going to make this cut that you see here on either side. We're just going to do straight down the middle, and then we just kind of using your hands will push the diaphragm down to detach it from the muscle wall. Okay, just a little more of the dissection. So now back to the membranes. For the thoracic cavity, first you need to know the pleural cavity and membranes. The membranes that you'll need to know are, again, associated with the lungs. When we talk about the visceral, it's always going to be the surface of the organ. So if we were to pin the lung and ask you for the layer, we'd be asking for the visceral pleura. Okay, so just the surface of the lung is the visceral pleura. Now, the parietal pleura is the surface of the inside of the rib cage. So when you break open those ribs, you can often see that there's a really thin, shiny membrane that'll come off of that. In the abdominal cavity, you can see it right here. Can everyone see how that's nice and shiny? You'll see that same shiny membrane on the inside of the rib cage. That will be the visceral pleura. So if we pin the inside of the rib cage, then and ask you to identify the layer, which is the only thing we'd be asking if we pinned it there, the answer would be parietal pleura.